Calaroga Shark Media.
Preach, Dusty Slay. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news on Twitter or X, whatever it is. Dusty Slay wrote, I worked for tips on and off for over a decade. I love tipping, but tipping is out of control now. I'll stop right there. Yes, you live in America, right? Or maybe you don't live in America, but if you live in America, you go anywhere. You go get fast food, like, can we have a tip? I buy a smoothie, like, can I have a tip? No. Dusty Slay writes, when I go to a restaurant, I tip because that's how they make their living. Everywhere else, I tip to show my appreciation for someone's hard work, but now tips are expected everywhere, and it no longer shows appreciation if it's just out of obligation. I don't have the answer here. I'm just at the airport again. I got coffee and a water, and it cost me $10. I tipped 20%, and that's $2. Then I got food, and it was $20, and I tipped $5 because that guy did a lot of running around for me. The coffee shop worker barely did anything. I don't mind tipping, but it just seems like every purchase I make, a tip is expected. I would love to give tips, but when it's expected, it's not even appreciated. On the same Twitter timeline, the very next tweet was from John Cleese. The Python's not getting along again. Cleese tweeted, Eric Idle's been complaining again that Python communications to him have been delayed. Fans may be interested to know that this could be because he refuses to accept any communications that are sent to him except through his lawyers. That slows it down a bit. Jeff Ross made his grand opening last night with Take a Banana for the Road, his Broadway show. Previews had begun on August 5th. Last night was the proper opening. Take a Banana for the Road was named after his grandfather's advice for traveling. The one-man show follows Jeff Ross's upbringing in New Jersey before earning the nickname Roast Master General. Variety says Jeff uses humor and song to reflect on many not-so-funny topics like losing his parents at a young age, as well as losing Bob Saget, Gilbert Gottfried, and Norm Macdonald in quick successions in recent years. He's accompanied by a giant LED screen and a two-piece orchestra. Jeff said, I always want to do something extra. I've seen some Broadway shows that felt like breakfast and lunch, but I didn't quite get dinner. I wanted this to feel like a full meal. I need a little schmaltz in my life. Before the first preview performance, Jeff said, I couldn't sleep the night before, which was a good sign, but I wasn't nervous. There was a guy in the front row with his feet on the stage, and his wife was on her phone. Her phone went off, and I'm like, oh, this is like any other gig. No phone's going to throw me off. Des Bishop told Hamptons.com, I spent most of my career in Ireland, so now that I'm back living in New York full-time, it's been fun to flip the outsider point of view I had in Ireland and throw that glance at the U.S., Plus, I get to explore the nostalgia of my childhood in a way I couldn't in Ireland, because those references wouldn't have resonated with them. His influences, he says, when I first became aware of stand-up, it was because of the popularity of Eddie Murphy. My friends and I watched Delirious and Raw on repeat and could recite the jokes to anyone who would listen. I think those of us of a certain age could probably do half of Raw off the top of our heads, like seriously. Des says, when I started stand-up, I was really into Bill Hicks, George Carlin, and Chris Rock. Irish comics that people over here wouldn't be as familiar with, like Dylan Moran and Tommy Tiernan, also inspired me in my early career. Now I just enjoy good bits when I see them. Social media is a blessing and a curse in our world, but one of the great things is the broad amount of people you get to see that I would never have been exposed to in the past. Brad Williams spoke to the Daily Gazette and said, people might think I'm going to go on stage and say, I could take a bath in a thimble, and that's weird. The audience will laugh, but think he's not going to be anything much beyond that. I would say having good sets and showing people that I'm a good name, it's only taking me 21 years to become an overnight sensation at the Palace Theater in Albany. There are really smart comedians out there that talk about what's going on and have really intelligent, insightful jokes about the whole situation. I'm not that one. My job is to tell jokes and make everyone come together and realize we're not all that different. You're sitting there watching my show, everyone's laughing, no one cares about race, no one cares who you voted for, no one cares what race you are, who you lay down with, who you pray to, no one. No one worries about that. Everyone's at the same place at the same time. All of us have the same thoughts. Wow, this guy is funny.
Gossip Corner, whispers in the street. Gossip Corner, probably about Pete. Gossip Corner, where the rumors meet. With Johnny Mac, it's always a treat. Gossip Corner, whispers in the street. Gossip Corner, probably about Pete. Gossip Corner, where the rumors meet. With Johnny Mac, it's always a treat.
And Gossip Corner is probably about Pete. Pete Davidson was on with Charlemagne the God and talked about bringing pop culture to SNL and making it a, quote, tabloidy, trendy thing unintentionally. Pete said, I was embarrassed by it because no one talked about any work I was doing. They were just like, oh, there's the F stick, and that hurt so much. Charlemagne was confused and was like, you were banging a lot of hot chicks and had a 10-inch, Pete says on paper that might sound great, but in reality he wasn't happy with being sexualized by the public and was uncomfortable, and explains he's not the most handsome celebrity out there. Quoting Pete, Pete said, it's embarrassing because, it's Hollywood. Everyone F's everybody. Why are they focusing on me? I don't want to victimize myself in any way because I'm cool, but the sexualization of me, if that was a girl, people would be like, there'd be a march for it. Seriously, you're just talking about my thing all day. He was asked how the big energy started. Pete said, I think it was like the New York Times or something, when I started dating someone that I guess they considered out of my league, which I think everyone is out of my league. But, you know, they were like, this guy must have big energy. And then someone confirmed it. Like, not to be lame, but it's traumatic to live in your own crap all the time. Also on Gossip Corner, Rob Beckett. You know him from, what was it, LOL, Last One Standing? What was that? The Amazon show that I liked? You think I'd know the name of it? That one? Rob Beckett revealed he was, quote, frog-marched out of Mick Jagger's 82nd birthday party. Here's some name dropping. How did Rob Beckett get to Mick Jagger's 82nd birthday party? He was Jimmy Carr's +1, and they had just left the Oasis concert. We are told Rob Beckett had enjoyed several drinks and found himself partying with Ronnie Wood, you know, from the Rolling Stones, at swanky Chelsea nightclub, the Rex Rooms. He told the Parenting Hell podcast it was a tiny little back room, and Mick Jagger was there. Obviously, a lot of his ex-wives and children from his ex-wives. Sacha Baron Cohen, Ronnie Wood. It was really nice. They were really chatty and hospitable. The music was quite loud. I said hello to Mick Jagger. I didn't properly chat to him because there was another separate room that had him in it with Sacha Baron Cohen. Then I was like, I've had 6 pints of lager, 2 espresso martinis, and I'd say a bottle and a half of rosé, and just been to the best gig of my wife. And I'm there with a vodka and soda after being on a motorbike, chatting to Ronnie Wood and Sally Wood and Jimmy Carr, and I'm just talking about absolute crap. Rob decided to leave and was helped on his way by 4 security guards. He said, I got like frog marched out by 4 people that were holding on to me. Maybe I got kicked out, I don't know. They were walking me out. They're like extracting me, like I'm a Rolling Stone, and there's 10,000 people trying to grab me. He woke up in the morning to a text from his new friend, Ron Wood, and said, that was one of the most mental nights of my life. All right, that one was fun. This next one on Gossip Corner, kind of serious. From NBC4 Los Angeles, they reported Paul Rodriguez was arrested at a Burbank restaurant on suspicion of misdemeanor narcotics possession. A woman was arrested on suspicion of drug possession, and after searching the car, police arrested Rodriguez on suspicion of misdemeanor possession of narcotics. Law enforcement sources told NBC Los Angeles that police found Xanax and suspected fentanyl in the car. Rodriguez denied that the drugs were his, according to police. NBC reports jail records indicated Rodriguez was cited and released the next morning. Now, back in March, Rodriguez had been arrested at a traffic stop near Victory Boulevard in Burbank. He was a passenger in a car in which the Burbank police said narcotics were discovered. Rodriguez told TMZ the drugs did not belong to him. In November of last year, a friend of Rodriguez died at his home in a drug-related fatality. The cause of death was due to the effects of fentanyl. It sounds like a very, very serious situation and nothing to joke about. On the 800-Pound Gorilla YouTube channel, 7 p.m. Central Time, it's TJ Miller, The Philosophy Circus. I like TJ. TJ's comedy is a lot of fun. There's been some colorful things on his personal resume, but his comedy's fun, and kind of hung out with him in Chicago a million years ago one night, I think. I was definitely at a show. I think we hung out after. My memory gets foggy. But I feel like I was at a show, and TJ was up there with the guy that played the janitor on Scrubs. He was in a show. Anyway, I digress. This Fringe, man. What is going on with the Fringe? From the Scotsman. Barry Ferns, who's been performing at Fringe for 25 years, well, why do you keep going if it's so terrible, wrote in an open letter to the organizers that there needs to be fairness in the awards, pointing to the difference between performers with teams of technical staff, producers, and marketing budget, and solo artists. Barry, can you write the same letter to the podcast industry? Thank you. The awards, which, according to this article, are known as the Oscars of Comedy, not sure I've ever heard that phrase before, but what do I know? Have 4 categories, including Best Comedy Show, the Victoria Wood Award, the Best Newcomer Award, and the Comedy Hall of Fame. Nika Burns is the director of the awards, wrote a response saying whether an act is unrepresented or represented is not a consideration. Mr. Ferns wrote... Mr. Ferns is just funny because it makes me think of Mr. Burns. Mr. Ferns wrote, one of these 2 acts is chauffeured to the start line fresh and focused. The other has to run to the stadium just to be allowed to compete. And when they finally get there, they discover it's not the 100-meter sprint everyone else is running, but the hurdles, and they're still expected to be just as fast. They've been flying their own path through the city in the rain, sorting their own press releases, funding the whole thing from savings or debt without the hope of selling enough tickets to recoup it even if they sell out, designing their own posters, finding and managing their own flyers. Booking their own venue, often collapsing into bed each night too tired to rework a joke, let alone pitch to a journalist. Don't go. This sounds horrible. Every single day I'm reading you folks an article about how the Fringe is a nightmare. Why does anyone do it? Fern's show is called My 7 Years as Lionel Richie. It's about how performing at Fringe over decades left him bankrupt. What are we doing? Chortle went to go see Dusty Crease's Dance Your Life Away. They wrote, this could be an introvert's worst nightmare, and personally, not my first choice for a fun time. Well, there's a review. Dusty Creases presents an hour heavy on physical participation in which you're asked to jump to your feet every few minutes to join in the moves the dance teacher character just demonstrated. No, I'm with the reviewer. I just want to sit there. I don't want to get up. That show's at the Pleasance Dome if you want to go. Voice Mag has been speaking with some of the performers there. One is Joz Norris. Joz's show is called You Wait, Time Passes. In it, I will finally unveil my life's work, my secret project, which I've been secretly working on for 30 years. I've done nothing but imagine this moment for 3 decades. What will it feel like? How will people react? What treasures will they heap upon me when they realize it's what I've been sitting on this whole time? They asked him about his approach to the Fringe. Same message here. Why are we going? Jaws says it's not possible to treat the Fringe lightly anymore. It used to be possible to go up, not spend much money, experiment a bit, and come away having learned a lot. It's now much more of a place where you invest in your career by showcasing a product. Because of that, I no longer think of it as doing the Fringe. I now think it's a secondary concern, and the main focus is to make good work you're passionate about, and to make that in its own time and its own pace. And then when a thing you're making is good enough to go, oh, okay, maybe it's time to take this to the Fringe, that results in taking a show up every 2 to 3 years rather than annually. If you had the power to change one thing about the Fringe, what would it be? Reduce the rents. We hear this every single article. What's the best, worst, or weirdest review you ever received? Joss said, I made a show years ago which started with me frying a plastic egg. It ended with me dressing up as a shark and floating out to sea. Halfway through it, I urinated Skittles into a jar. One review described the show as being unrelatable, and it really made me wonder what they thought I was going for. As though they thought in the Skittle bit, I was secretly thinking, hope other people have had this experience too. That is really funny. Joss Norris, You Wait, Time Passes at the Pleasance Dome. And since that's a good laugh, let's get out there. That is your comedy news for today. If you'd like the program without commercial interruption, if you're on Apple Podcasts, click that banner. It says uninterrupted listening. That's what you'll get. And not only on this show, but a bunch of others on the network, including Taylor Swift Today. Everybody's talking about Taylor Swift Today. 5 good news stories, which I better record some right now, or that show's not going to exist at all. I have none left in the can. That's the very next thing I'm doing right now. What else we got? Trivia, 5 daily trivia questions, Palace Intrigue, talk about the Royals, Meghan Markle, all that. Uninterrupted listening banner on the Apple Podcast app. See you tomorrow.